What's up, everybody? I'm Jacob Suggs, and today I'm joined by Inside of Mind, one of my favorite YouTubers. And we're gonna,
Oh, you're just saying that.
you know, but we're
Ah,
gonna be doing a commentary track for a film that I actually love because, I can't talk today because the other ones have been for really bad movies like Ghostbusters and The Cat in the Hat. So I'm so excited to do one from the best production company ever. So, oh man, I'm so excited to do this.
bad robot. Ah, dear. I haven't actually watched this in a good year or so. I think the first movie. Oh,
Oh man,
I'm actually quite excited
I
now.
watched it not too long ago, but I love it so much. I feel like every time I watch it, I get something new. So it's just such a great film. Even the Dharma thing in the bottom right of the screen at the very beginning.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got a lot of people asking about that. they wanted me to connect it to all Lost and everything. It's like, oh, in fairness, you can technically do that right now with the Cloverfield paradox
I mean,
stuff.
what
So
not it connected to?
exactly. You don't know. I mean, it was really funny when I did the Cloverfield paradox thing. There were people joking, going, "Oh, I guess it's connected to J.J. Abrams' Star Trek now." It's like, well, you technically can. There's no rules actually stopping it.
Well, isn't
You're joking about it.
Tiger
But
Watto's in
good.
Star Trek, isn't it?
It is. That's what I mean. It's like it's got the same kind of Easter eggs as every other Cloverfield movie. So you could technically connect it in that world. I do, however, like what some people have said. This is why I think the actual multiverse thing could actually work. Is because the I've lost my train of thought now all of a sudden. But oh yeah, the our world could technically be a Cloverfield world, except
Oh.
it's in a world that doesn't exist, and we're watching it from a fictional world instead. So we're still kind of affected by
But it's
it.
still the
But
worst. If that's the case, then Our World is the worst Cloverfield movie confirmed.
it's a pretty boring one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because nothing's real. Oh dear,
Monsters come in
disappointing.
many forms. I know that. Okay, I know that you and I were just talking about this via the Discord chat, but before we did the commentary, but we were talking about how on the Cloververse subreddit, some kid in 7th grade brought brought Cloverfield in to show this to his class, and he said something like in his post about how like Beth on the bed in this scene, everybody just went crazy, and the teacher kind of pulled back for a moment, and then like they enjoyed the film. Like, if I were to bring it into a college class, it'd be like, whatever. But, like, I can only imagine what a group of 7th graders
I
would
know.
do.
Anyone in middle school, oh my god, I could only imagine the reactions. And it still goes on. I didn't realize how long this scene went on for. Poor kids. Oh dear.
Uh,
Traumatized.
well, this is going to sound cheesy, but it's moments like this that make me really appreciate the film more. Like, the monster's cool, obviously, but, like, I don't know. I feel like this is a very character-driven movie. So,
I do like, yeah, I like some of this stuff, even though it doesn't quite make sense how it still plays compared to the how it keeps cutting back to this. But I still quite
yeah.
like the little flashbacks and then how it ends to this particular point. I remember I really like the opening. I think it's 20 minutes before the actual before the monster actually shows up. I think after that I don't enjoy it as much. But I think no, it's the first half an hour. That's it. This build up here, and then there's the party, that whole thing happening, and then the mysterious thing happens where all the lights go out, and there's something traveling around.
Right.
At around 30 minutes, I think it starts to go downhill a little bit for me. Still manages to keep my interest, and I really did enjoy the movie. But I don't know. I just feel like... I guess it's just maybe the realism towards it. You know, just the fact that they're still recording after that point is the part... is probably that's probably what it is. Maybe if they had, like, 3 different stories from, you know, so they had different perspectives of people.
Yeah.
Because like even the director said that this was a movie that, you know, they actually filmed someone who was also making their own little movie, and he was saying, well, this could easily be
Yeah.
showing that there's thousands of other stories going on. So I guess maybe after that first half hour, you know, when you've introduced to these characters, you could switch almost to other characters going on around the, you know, while the event's happening and we're seeing what else is happening around and going on. I feel like it'd have been just a little bit interesting because obviously while it's great to see these characters live all the way through the story, I can't help but feel I want to know what's going on everywhere else in this particular event as well.
Well, that's where the Cloverfield paradox kind of jumps in.
Yes, that was where I knew you were gonna do that.
But yeah, I know that some people, I think that like the subreddit and like all of the Cloverfield fans just really want that idea as the sequel for the film, which I think that it would be really cool to see that. But the problem is that as big as Cloverfield is right now, I guess I would say, I still feel like it doesn't have the same brand recognition as some other stuff. So, as much as I would love to see another like found footage styled film about the same attack in 2008, the problem is that I'm a little bit concerned about the box office for a film like that, you know? Because like, I don't know.
I think it would have done all right because it's kind of got an established fan base to it. Because even though the Reddit pages and stuff seem kind of small, the fan base is still quite known. I know a lot of people who love Cloverfield or 10 Cloverfield Lane,
sure. But
have no idea about the ARG stuff or any kind of viral marketing that's going on behind it. They just like those two movies. So I think that's why we ended up getting scripts that were written before the movie was, that were turned into Cloverfield movies, because the name can bring people in and bring more of an audience in to actually watch them.
Yeah.
Than they would have done if they were standalone stuff. So I feel like an actual sequel to Cloverfield would have worked, because it made, 140 million, did it?
It did very well at the time. But I also think that's because of the secret marketing and stuff that they did for this film. Like, I still remember seeing it before Transformers.
Yeah, well, that's one of the problems that Cloverfield Paradox has kind of created, because the reason that people love the Cloverfield stuff is the mystery behind it.
Yeah.
And I feel like Cloverfield Paradox kind of gave away too much. And so that kind of is a little bit alarming. So I guess you're kind of right in the sense that if they did release a sequel to the next Cloverfield movie, would it actually do well this time? Because there's not really a mystery behind it anymore.
Yeah, and that's kind of what concerns me for the future of the series, because like I love it so much. Cloverfield's one of my favorite movies, and I adore 10 Cloverfield Lane. And this is going to sound sacrilegious for people on the message boards and stuff, but I might even prefer 10 Cloverfield Lane over Cloverfield. But they're two entirely different movies, so I feel like it's kind of hard to compare them. Yeah,
it's really strange that, because I always thought 10 Cloverfield Lane was actually better than the first movie. I mean, I really like the first movie and stuff, but I think
I do. Yeah,
I just love the underground bunker stuff
too.
And the fear of what on earth is actually going on inside Howard's head, and the claustrophobia that builds up, and then when she's all on her own. Oh, and that shot where friggin' Howard comes and his beard shaved.
Oh,
and I'm like,
gosh.
Oh no,
that disturbed me more than anything else in that film.
I was done at that. I was watching it alone in the dark at that point, and I was like, oh god, no, this is not. Where is this? Because I had no idea about how the movie ended or anything, and I was like, oh.
My friends and I have like a running gag, because he has like the ice cream cone in his hand during that scene.
Yeah, he does.
He eats the whole ice cream thing in like one bite, or just like sticks his whole mouth over the ice cream. So it's like a running gag with me and my friends. But oh man, Halleck is the best character in this entire movie. I love Marlena. Marlena's my favorite.
Aw, she's nice. That's another. I wish we'd have learned a bit more about what happened to her. I mean, because she got bitten, didn't she?
She does.
And then she just explodes.
See, here's what I like about this movie. It's that this is like the formula for a Cloverfield movie when you really sit down and think about it.
Yeah.
Because it's like broken relationships, the sense of dread, relationships are rekindled in a different way than what the person or protagonist wants. So it's like HUD wants to be with Marlena and wants to start a relationship. However, they do have chemistry throughout the film during the attack, and they're kind of like the lighthearted sort of comic relief, I guess. But they, in a way, they do end up together because they both die, and so they're in the same place. I guess maybe I'm thinking too deep into this, but it's really sad. And
I see what you said. Yeah,
because like they get maybe blown.
they kind of die together, I guess. Yeah, they.
Or do they? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, do they? Oh, they could be alive. I mean, technically, they are in. They could be alive in multiple different dimensions. So yeah,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's what I was expecting, because all these events, this big event here, did not happen in other universes that happened in 10 Cloverfield Lane and stuff. So it means that Rob is alive and all the others. So yeah, could very well bring them back in. And if they all are technically in multiple different universes, you could have a universe where all these characters survive. So you could technically have like a Howard, Rob, all them in one place. Oof. But again, no rules are established, so you've got no idea what's going on. Oh, again, I love this and hate it at the same time. It's a love-hate relationship I have with this series.
See, I kind of like the concept of the multiverse and the no rules thing. However, I do feel like you need to have at least a few rules to establish what can and can't be a Cloverfield movie. Because, like you said, it's like there's no limits as to what can and can't be, which is both cool as it is.
That's just the thing. It just needs. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jamie. She's dead. No, people kept saying, "Oh no, she's not. You can see her in the later shot." And I remember actually looking on subreddits when people said that this is Jamie, and you can clearly see that it isn't.
That guy looked like Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3. I don't know if you saw him, but he was the one to the far right.
I should have looked. Should have focused on a bit more. Oh
it's
no.
Okay. But yeah, I'm with you.
Oh well.
And see, that's another thing about the beauty of the ARG, because, like, you wouldn't know that if, like, you weren't super deep into the Cloververse and stuff and the ARG going on at the time. So it's
that's
really
what I quite liked about the previous movie. Yeah, I did like that the viral marketing kind of had this little world that wasn't explained in the movie and didn't really have much to it. What was I going to say now? I keep losing my train of thought because I'm about to say one thing and then I think of something else like, that's kind of cool.
You are not alone.
Oh, dear.
That's basically how these commentaries go. It's just two people rambling.
Really?
Yeah, we just kind of ramble and talk and occasionally make a joke about the film, Same
That's
old
good.
thing.
That's good.
That
is great.
Commentary track.
Oh, dear.
I actually downloaded the entire playlist from Rob's Party Mix, I think is what it's called, the other day, and it's actually really good. It's very early 2000s, but it's pretty good. There's one song called, I think it's called, Do You Have My Attention or something like that. It's pretty good.
Oh, so has it got a few, subtle hints in there of what's going on within the movie?
It might. I haven't looked.
Well, I meant the song titles sometimes have that, don't they? Where there's sometimes it can be a bit too on the nose, like Suicide Squad, where every single song is just a title and it's relating to it, relating to that particular point. But you never know; there could be a few things hidden in there with the songs that foreshadow future events.
Well, there's also did you know that crap? I totally forgot what I was about to say. Dang it. I knew that was going to happen. Something like this was going to happen during the commentary.
The thing is, there's just so much to try and talk about. It's trying to remember every single thing. I should have really written down some of the things that I had.
Because you know
and then I'd have actually...
Oh, go ahead.
Go on.
No. You're fine.
No, I was literally just going to say I should have written down some things to actually... with notes of what I was going to say, because there's just so much to actually talk about. It's trying to remember them, and then when you remember them, you're worried that you'll forget them, and then you do end up forgetting them, and then it's goes back and forth.
I was gonna say there's gonna be a comment saying they didn't talk about this part of the ARG, or they didn't notice the clock in the background or something. I don't know.
They didn't know the orange clock.
The
symbolism of death. I don't know, but yeah, it'd be something like that.
Oh man.
A lot of interesting things in this, though. I wouldn't,
sure.
Like I said earlier, I did like the stuff that it's very subtle. For the ARG stuff, that it really worked for this movie, because even though I would have preferred to have different characters at different points, so you get to see around the whole story. I'd probably go into a little bit more about that later, but For what J.J. Abrams has said he was trying to do in this movie, I do think he did a very good job at accomplishing it. Because what his main idea was to, hey, in Godzilla, when obviously Godzilla arrived and attacked the city, what were if you were just a citizen on your own and you saw this happen, you would have no knowledge of what's going on, and that's what he wanted to demonstrate in this. If it was in a modern day where Godzilla attacked, Slusho, if we're in a modern day time when obviously Godzilla attacked and there'd be cameras, people would find it and document it, but they would have no idea what's going on either, because they're in the middle of the city and they can't really see any of the news reports going on unless if they literally stayed in one place and where it's not safe. So in that sense, he did a great job, I think, because but I just would have liked to have seen a bit more, just to explore. It's kind of a world that's lost a bit of opportunity to explore. Like you said, could do sequels to it, but I feel like it could have all been done in just this one movie, and then they could have explored other areas, like with the 10 Cloverfield Lane and other stuff.
Yeah, because you were the one who brought up the idea of the different subsidiaries of Tagarado, right? Being the focus of every film.
Yeah.
Because I remember in your video you were Bold Futura is really the focus of 10 Cloverfield Lane. Slusho is the focus of this one, and then just kind of build the franchise around that, with the final film being Tagarado. And I think that's a great idea.
Well, that's something that could have worked if they'd have done it with this Cloverfield paradox, more or less to establish. Good, no, I've been saying because obviously they've obviously brought up the whole multiverse and stuff like that. But I had the idea of what if they had the subsidiaries determine which universe you're watching. So you had Slusho for this world, and then you had Bold Futura for 10 Cloverfield Lane's world, and then you had either Yoshida's Medical Research or Paraffin Wax for the other. So in a sense, you had 4 different universes you were watching.
Right.
That already sets more rules than Cloverfield Paradox actually did, because you're only watching 4 universes, and that kind of discludes the other worlds of connecting Super 8 and stuff like that. So you're kind of saying, the Cloverfield the world is about 4 particular universes of a certain event that's happened.
Right.
And this is where it's going to add upon it.
Oh, speaking of Cloverfield Paradox, okay, I know that J.J. Abrams has said, no, this wasn't intentional, but the 1820 sync between this scene and Cloverfield Paradox is shockingly accurate.
I remember that, when people said that. I didn't know about J.J. Abrams saying it wasn't accurate, but I kind of left out my video because I didn't know what to say about it. I was it felt like a coincidence, but it was obviously pretty spooky that they'd done it, and I'm actually glad J.J. Abrams came out and said it was a coincidence, because I didn't know how to actually, I didn't know what to make of it. Is it around
one of my all-time favorite movie quotes is coming up. I believe that what's his name? I know that Rob's brother said, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the bit.
Talking about caring about the people that you care about most. I really like that quote a lot. I need to
What does he say? I missed that
Oh man, he says, I'll find it real quick. I know the gist of the line because I heard it last time I watched it and I was like, wow, this might be one of my favorite movie quotes.
All right, I kind of have the volume a little bit down just so I can hear you, because I get too distracted by it if I had the volume up. So
same here.
I'm just watching the pictures areas. But yeah, if you can get the quote,
yeah, you got to learn to say, forget the world and hold on to the people that you love most. And it's that moment in the film where, the film, everything just goes downhill right after he says that.
Yeah, well, that's when, I think that's what the moral of the story is, isn't it? I mean, he even he goes off and saves the girl, and yeah, in truth, it kind of puts everyone else in danger a little bit, but, it doesn't matter. I love it. It's cool.
It is cool.
This is part I really like. This is actually my favorite part of the movie. The whole wondering what's going on, because I feel like this is exactly what would happen in a moment like this. They're all rushing upstairs they're looking outside, try and see what's going on. And then they obviously go out on the streets because they feel that that'd be a lot safer. Someone actually commented saying, "Why would you leave onto the streets? So unrealistic." I was like, well, they're in a war zone. What if the house collapses on you if you stay inside?
Yeah.
And then we see it later in the movie that Beth has stayed inside and the building has collapsed.
It's like
so it's
leaning off to
like
the
that.
side, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
bent at the top, from what I remember.
Yeah, they went to the top, but then they go outside, and people were like, well, why would you go outside? Wouldn't you want to stay inside? It was like, but there are bombs coming down, or whatever it is,
And the,
flying down and destroying the buildings. Staying inside is the last thing you should be doing.
And even then, you've got like the little man, I forgot what they're called. The things that live on the back of Clover that fall off and like attack.
Yeah, they fall
those
off
things
as
are
well.
Crawling around
Exactly.
everywhere. I mean,
Exactly.
my biggest thing would
Oh.
try to be get out of the city or just like run around for the entire night and try to find the military.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I think obviously eventually the military show up and then they guide them into the area they're supposed to go. But yeah, streets this is way that you would end up going. You wouldn't just stay inside because that'd be the worst thing to do.
There's the money shot.
Hey, it's a lion.
It's a lion.
Oh dear. I remember seeing that a lot. I didn't know when I was first looking into the whole Cloverfield stuff, I saw people quote that all the time, but I had no history on why people were saying it, so I was so confused.
It's a lion. It's a Voltron movie.
Yeah. But yeah, this is what got me invested into because I didn't actually look into the viral. I just knew there was a viral marketing going on, and then I watched the movie. And first 20 minutes was interesting, but then this is what kind of hooked me. This moment,
Yeah.
where it was just
Gosh.
the kind of the perspective from the civilians of something like a Godzilla kind of thing invading the town and the city.
Yeah.
And this happens. So I like that. But like I said, I would have been interested to see if we could have seen it from different perspectives and then like had transitions between the stories like news reports. So even though the audience even though the citizens didn't know what was going on, we kind of did. We had some kind of idea by the news reports that were filing up. Even though they'd probably still leave it a bit of a mystery, but they'd hint at some kind of thing. Missiles and things have been fired in New York City, and you must leave immediately. But then, as the story progresses, the more news reports come out, you eventually realize what's going on.
Yeah.
And I feel like the ending of the movie could have been just a news report of a nuclear bomb or something being dropped on New York City. And because I think that is actually confirmed that some kind of nuclear bomb was dropped.
I know that like a long time ago, Abrams confirmed that they did drop a bomb and like it killed the Cloverfield monster because it was like Operation
did that
Hammer
as well,
Down
yeah.
or something like that. And after that, when Paradox came out years later, he was like that monster is actually the same monster in Cloverfield.
I know.
Which means
I
it's
facepalmed after he did that.
I think that well, I guess it kind of makes sense because that's a different universe.
It is one of.
I guess
you could say that, but I was kind of just thinking at that point when he'd announced it was he'd already had very bad reception of Cloverfield. He's already planning to make a fourth Cloverfield movie. He needs to say anything just to keep the fans invested. So I kind of just had that's all that was in the back of my mind when he was saying that. I know it's awful, but it just felt like damage control rather than an actual interesting fact in the story. So yeah, it's depressing to think about it that way, but I can't help but feel that is the reason why he said it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for the creature being alive because the movie at the end of the movie there is actually the tape recorder thing.
Yeah.
That when in reverse it says it's alive.
Yeah,
you know,
that's the one.
So it's still. I'm still all for the creature still surviving and stuff like that. So yeah. It's one of those.
If it's a different world, it makes sense.
Cut back.
Flashback.
Yeah, flashback. Nice.
Imagine being that bald
flashback.
guy in the corner.
Oh, I always wonder about that in extras. You know, if they end up in movies, do they just go around with their friends going, "Look, that's me in that movie," for 10 years ago?
I had a youth pastor back in like high school, and he was in Avengers: Age of Ultron. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was like.
I
on
knew
set
some
one
guy.
day. I know a civilian
Really?
in Age of Ultron. So hey.
Oh, nice. I knew because I kind of worked in that area before, I know one of my friends used to do the extra work, and he got onto Star Wars, the Rogue One.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, "Oh, cool! Are you in it? Where are you?" He's like, "I'm a stormtrooper." Oh.
It's like in the middle of the movie, he just stands up. That's me. That's me. I'm
That's me. I was like, "Well, anyone could say that."
I could be a stormtrooper,
wow.
and you would never know.
I was gonna say, it's like, well, I could say I was in Rogue One and I played a stormtrooper. It's like you never know.
I love
dear.
talking about franchises that I love what they're doing. Star Wars. Oh man, I'm probably one of the biggest Star Wars fans in my area. I love it so much, and I love all of the movies that they've done so far. Even Solo, I really liked a lot.
I haven't seen Solo yet. I was wanting to watch it because
It's pretty good.
I wasn't sure exactly what it was going to be like, but it's one of those that I just haven't found time to actually watch it. I think it came out the same week as Deadpool, and I had the option to watch either, and I was like, I'll give Deadpool a watch, see what that one's like. And then I was like, oh god, I forgot about Solo. I need to still go see that.
I liked Deadpool 2. I didn't love Deadpool 2. But it was a fun time. What can I say?
Yeah, Deadpool. It's more of It's really going to be down to personal preference, that second movie, because it is more of the fourth wall breaking jokes, and that can only be. People can only take so much of that. If you're really into that kind of stuff, you're really going to obviously love Deadpool 2. But if you're kind of wanting the story, it's going to be very distracting for certain areas, because he does just break the wall in like moments that he probably shouldn't. So yeah, I found it quite fun. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah. I think that were it, wasn't it? The camera.
That was it.
That the kid. For a brief second we see
the Tag logo.
I never noticed about the Statue of Liberty that they actually showed the head missing until like only a couple of months ago, because I didn't realize that they actually. I knew they had the head fall off, and obviously, but I was like, I just thought that was a cool feature that I saw only a few months ago. I was like, it's quite nice.
Oh man, I'm waiting to make a joke because it's in the back of my head, and I can't wait to make it, and I'm a terrible person for making it. But
right.
I'm waiting for it.
Are you waiting? Are you just counting down the minutes now?
Because I know it's gonna happen any second now.
All right. Okay.
I'm excited to make this. Hi, Jason. Bye, Jason.
Oh, you're so awful.
I know, that was so poorly timed.
It didn't even happen yet.
I know. I was expecting it because I know the tail comes down. I think it's the tail. It's either the tail or the claw. I think it's the tail.
Do you want to pretend that I haven't seen it yet, so you could wait till he stands on a particular thing, and then I'll pretend that I haven't heard you say it. You know, I'm talking about something about the lore, and it's all mysterious.
You haven't seen it, but you know the lore.
I haven't. I haven't heard of any kind of joke about Jason, and he's still alive. Wow, you really did mistime this.
I did.
It's so long.
I forgot how.
Look.
Oh, hi, Jason. And bye, Jason. It worked that time. Oh my god.
Even though you had to go and
bye, Jason.
That worked.
Just got slush-owed.
Oh, well then, that's a new joke I wasn't expecting. The raw.
I need to get a slush-o shirt.
really
I don't own one, and I need to have one in my life.
They were selling some, weren't they, in the first viral marketing campaign, which I'm a bit gutted about.
But
I got a Rocket Puppeteers badge from one of my cousins.
Oh, that's cool.
They obviously saw my video on the Super 8 thing, and so the next time I met them, they got me this badge because they said they actually found it when they went to America during during 2011 when Super 8 was coming out, and they obviously heard about the whole viral marketing campaign behind it. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
That's pretty cool. I want one of the bobbleheads so bad, like the Slusho bobbleheads.
Oh,
but
bobbleheads would have been great.
I know, but unfortunately I live in South Carolina and nothing exciting happens in South Carolina other than, well, I don't know.
You were going to say something, but nothing actually happens.
Yeah, I know. There are some things that happen in South Carolina. Some good, some bad, but no Cloverfield, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I live in the UK, so there's definitely no Cloverfield happening over here.
Remember when people on like the Reddit page were like, "Hey, maybe if we bust open the bobbleheads that Bad Robot sent us, there will be like a clue inside." And some dude like smashed his bobblehead, and there was
Did
nothing
they actually
inside.
do? I didn't know they did that.
Dang it.
That's really...
There's another guy who got his like broken in the mail, and like he was
Oh,
like, "Yeah, guys, there's nothing in here. I'm really bummed that mine broke in the mail." But like,
That's great.
the guy.
I've just got this image of a guy with a giant hammer. He's like, there's a clue in here. He's
just busted open its a flash drive with Cloverfield 4.
No, it's just a random short film, and they just retitled it Cloverfield 4.
It's just like, it's another movie, but it's got Cloverfield in the title. It's Super 8, the Cloverfield 8.
It's 50 Shades of Grey. It's just like, yeah, this is Cloverfield now.
50 Shades of Clover.
Enjoy.
Wait,
50 Shades of
If I'm
Clover.
correct, the fish from SpongeBob SquarePants is gonna show up any second now. That sounded really.
Oh, really?
Wait, I'm telling you, he's gonna show up.
I mean, you said this last time, and five
No,
minutes
this time
later
I'm
we
serious.
finally
This
got
time
it.
I'm serious.
It's like-
Because I remember them
Alright.
in like the news plays, and then it happens.
Oh, you mean actual SpongeBob? Oh,
yes,
yeah.
the news fish, the guy with like. The,
I thought you were joking. I thought you were actually joking, saying that some kind of fish appears that looks like something from
No,
SpongeBob.
no.
Oh, okay.
I know it's
That
coming.
makes more sense.
I swear I've seen this movie before. I just.
You're just really poorly timing
I
it.
know, and it's weird. People aren't gonna
Oh,
trust me on these movies anymore. They're gonna be like, "Ah, Jacob made a Cloverfield
that's
movie. He's
it.
a fake fan."
He's a
Here it
he's a
comes.
part timer. Honestly,
It's coming. I know it's right around the corner.
I don't know.
He's
I
here.
think you're losing it.
Because it's in the credits, dude. There he is. There he is.
There,
Yes.
got it. What was the other screen though? I wanted to know because I don't know what the other person was.
there's
there's
Sandy.
Sandy. You eventually got there though, so I'm proud of you. You
I'm happy about that one. That's my little victory for today.
just-
It's the little things.
yeah, you're not gonna clash your other one as a victory.
No, that was a colossal failure.
I don't know. I think the second attempt was pretty close.
Oh no.
That'd have been kind of interesting because look at the military; they have cameras on their hats. Wouldn't that have been quite cool to see a little story
Oh,
from the
that would
military
be cool.
perspective?
There's so
Yeah,
many
like,
possibilities.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's like I feel like that would have been to get like little different stories, and you'd have even got some from the military. It'd have helped us understand a little bit more about the stuff. I mean, you wouldn't have had to explain things. You could still leave a lot of stuff unanswered for a potential sequel, but you could still leave like hints in there of what's going on, and then that's kind of where the theories can come into. You leave hints in there, but you don't quite explain what's going on. And then people can put the pieces together and make their own little ideas on what they think's happening.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I was distracted because it says apprentice kit behind Rob on that thing. And I was just thinking, like, isn't he going to work for Taguruado? But this is Taguruado's wrongdoing. I don't know. I took a film studies class like a while back in college, and my professor was like, nothing is put in a film just for the sake of being there when it comes to some films. Like, ones that are objectively good, not like Suicide Squad. But she's like, everything's put in a film for a reason. So like, it's always made me catch onto these like little things as like, I wonder if that was like intentionally put in.
Well, yeah,
like, a thing.
I've been on sets before, and they like
cool.
take for just 2 minutes. For 2 minutes of footage can take like 24 hours to film, and so a lot of the time it's not exactly the scenes themselves. It's the building the scene around it, and then getting the right frame and shot.
Oh,
and so yeah, and there's just so. And so, yeah, you have plenty of time to actually just go, oh, we could just put this in there, like that. That could be like a little hint to something later. And it's just little things that the directors like to put in there. and obviously sometimes it can go a bit overboard. But,
Go a bit
but yeah,
overlord is what I think you mean.
Oh, these puns.
I know, that was a bad one.
Depressing.
To be honest, though, I'm
No.
actually really looking forward to Overlord. It sounds really up my alley, and I can't wait to see it.
Is it coming out this year?
In October, yeah.
I would have thought we might have got a trailer for it by now or something like that.
I think we're gonna get one at Comic-Con or with Mission Impossible Fallout, because that's like Paramount and Robot.
True, yeah. Okay.
Oh no!
Oh no, it's a monster.
This freaked me out the first time I saw it, because this whole movie just feels so... This is gonna sound weird, but it feels real to me. Like, it feels like if a monster did attack, this is how I guess I can imagine it going down.
Well, if you put aside the fact that someone is actually holding the camera, how people move and how they would react in these certain areas, if you just imagine that the camera wasn't there, then yeah, this is probably how they would react.
Yeah.
They, you know, if we imagine that Hood didn't exist and this is what we're seeing people do right now, then yeah, I think I could definitely agree. Because like I said with that first 10 minutes, you know, when Cloverfield first arrives in New York, that I felt was exactly how people would react, running around, trying to turn on the news to see what's going on. Then it cuts out. Then they have to go outside because there's explosions, and you know, all that happens, and a big cloud of smoke. I do feel like they got a lot of things right. It is just that
for sure,
the found footage that goes on just a little too long is just the only thing in there. Everything else, I think, is pretty believable.
Oh, this shot right here.
I love that.
And he falls.
Oh dear. Camera intact.
Oh, I love Rob's like nervous breakdown in like a few minutes from now when he like pushes over the candy machine or like the soda machine. Cause like,
oh yeah,
it's a little thing, but it's another little thing that I like. Cause like, he just wants to see Beth again. But
yeah, and I do like this scene actually. The one with the little creatures running down the tunnel.
Oh, I will never forget watching that for the first time.
I love that. I do really like that. I was just like, the turning on the night vision. Oh no, I wonder what's gonna happen.
I wonder what will happen.
Apparently, I don't know if you found, but someone uploaded the behind the scenes stuff for Cloverfield, and it was I found it really interesting.
Yeah.
I thought maybe I could find some new stuff. But they did, the scene that they did with the monsters, the little parasites, they first did with puppets.
And then they realized they sucked.
Yeah. And they realized it was absolutely stupid, so they were like, let's CGI them in, it'll be fine.
It'd be cool to have one of those prototypes.
It would have been. I was gonna say to actually see them be made. It's kind of cool because at least the actors know what it is they're fighting against. Because before they just might not have a single clue.
Yeah, because like even though this is about to be a hot take, but like, oh, it's not a soda machine. Dang it, wrong again. Anywho,
you not a fan of movies, are you? You don't even like Star Wars, do you?
What's a movie?
Honestly, what's a movie? Oh, I tell you what, I met someone the other day that had no idea who Steven Spielberg was.
Wait, what?
And I was actually quite surprised because even my brother knows who Steven Spielberg is, and he barely watches any movie ever. And so it kind of hurt me a little bit when someone actually said who's Steven Spielberg. And then when I showed a picture, it was like, oh, the KFC guy. And I was
like, no! Steven Spielberg is Colonel Sanders!
I was like, oh my god.
How do you not know who Steven Spielberg is? That's just
I don't know.
So weird. That's like a personal attack.
It's a personal attack. I was so surprised. I was taken aback because, like, mainly nearly every other director, I can almost think that, yeah, if you didn't know who that person was, I guess that's understandable because no one is unless if you are actually a fan of movies, you most likely won't know the creators behind it if you're just average moviegoers. But Steven Spielberg is like this iconic person who's like been in the film industry. It's like someone that even if you haven't seen their movies, you know who they are.
Yeah.
It's like it was so weird for me. I was like, oh no.
That's really
I'm literally
bizarre.
like Rob when I
That's really
I'm literally
bizarre.
like Rob when I
That's a
heard it.
Cloverfield
It's
movie
like-
in itself. The
It is, isn't
Spielberg
it? What?
Paradox.
The KFC. The C stands for Cloverfield.
Ooh. Kentucky,
Kentucky
Fried
Fried Cloverfield. That's the next movie.
Someone needs to
We
make
got
that
it.
a
We got
logo.
this sorted.
If someone makes it the logo, I'll
Definitely.
make it my profile photo on Twitter for like a week. Kentucky Fried
That's
Clovers.
brilliant. Oh, Kentucky Fried Clovers. I can't speak.
Oh man, I hate
She
KFC.
looks so
Well,
sad.
I don't mind KFC, but I feel terrible every time I eat after KFC.
Afterwards, yeah, you feel awful afterwards.
It's like the Taco
yeah.
Bell effect.
We don't have Taco Bell over here. I don't think.
What?
So I've never tried
I only
it. No.
worship one corporate, and it's Taco Bell.
Yeah, the only people we have over here are the KFC, the McDonald's, the Burger King. All of these are not sponsored, by the way, guys.
No.
Watching this.
Hey, but we can
Um,
segue into how brilliant the product placement is in this film.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Nokia, baby, in the back.
Oh, I just seen. It's fantastic. But yeah, those are pretty much the only fast. Oh, there's Subway as well. But yeah, but mainly the other stuff is just like we don't really have compared to what was in America. I mean, America, we only just got Krispy Kreme or Krispy Kreme. I don't know how you say it.
What?
Like
Krispy
a couple
Kreme?
of years ago. Krispy Kreme, yeah.
Wow, that's
We got it in like 2012, I think, when it's been in America for like 100 years or something.
it's pretty great. I like Krispy Kreme, but like I haven't been there in a while actually.
Shame.
I know.
I haven't
Pretty
actually.
good, though.
I was like- I think there was like all the rave in the first year when it first came here. They were like, "Oh, you need to try this. This is the first time it's ever arrived here." And then we were like, "Oh my goodness!" And then after that, it's like nothing. No one really goes to it anymore. Oh dear.
I mean, they are pretty much the best donut place around that I can think of anyway. I'm not a
Yeah,
big
well, I
Dunkin'
think-
Donuts
yeah.
guy myself.
I don't even think we have Dunkin' Donuts yet. So no, I mean
This
it's
is-
serious. You come over here, you'll be shocked.
Oh no.
You'll be shocked to death by
It's-
by how un-American we
I
are.
like to think that the only movie that you guys have is Cloverfield, and that's why.
That's all we got.
That's
Everything else we don't. That's why we don't know who Steven Spielberg is, because we don't have any of his movies here.
What's Jurassic Park?
Yeah, what is that? I've never heard of that. Jurassic World? What? Don't be silly.
I'm actually.
You
very
mean
much
Jurassic
looking forward
Cloverfield?
Jurassic
That's
Clover?
what we got. Jurassic
to
Cloverfield.
that. You've got all of these you've got all of these classic movies, but it's just Cloverfield in the title, and the monster is
Yeah,
always
that's all it
Cloverfield.
is.
He's always in the movies.
Yeah, JJ is a dictatorship over here in the UK. We just rename everything as Cloverfield.
J.J. Abrams, King of the UK.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like
American.
he's in control of it. Yeah, it just doesn't matter. He's just in control of our movies. Honestly, he really just took over. Everything's just
If you run your
Cloverfield.
country, then it's just a bunch of questions that you have that never get answered, or get answered in like really bizarre ways.
Every law that's been enforced is just a question. It's just really confusing.
Our history books are like insane over here.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, they're just our history books are left on cliffhangers. We never actually know what happens.
Who won World War II? I don't know.
Did we win it? Did we? I don't. I guess we're here. We're gonna have to make a theory on it. It's like,
Hey, but that's just a
Oh,
theory.
that's just a theory.
Oh,
A history theory. Oh wow.
oh man.
JJ World. That's a new
Here
thing I'm
come
gonna have
the
to create now.
rats. Oh, rats.
Oh, what's happening?
Oh man.
Ooh.
I wish I would have had the opportunity to see this in theaters. I know I would have loved it.
Yeah, I probably would have enjoyed it. I don't know if. I don't know if I've ever seen a found footage film in cinemas, so I don't know if I
I'm trying to think.
get motion sickness at all. Because obviously with the shaky camera and stuff, I can obviously watch on a monitor, but I don't know if I'd do well in the cinema. I'm sure I'd do all
The
right.
problem is that I feel like found footage peaked with like The last great one that I can think of is, oh no, crawling on the walls. Here it
Oh,
comes.
oh no, run away.
The last
Run
good one that I
away.
can think of is like Chronicle, because I really liked Chronicle, but I can't really think of any objectively good found footage films of the past recent years.
Not in the past recent years. I think the only one that kind of worked, I mean, for what it is obviously the Blair Witch, but that's
Oh
like
yeah,
back in 1999. But even then, that the reason why that was successful is because that did what it needed to do. It needed to give the illusion that it were real. Whereas found footage for this, didn't need to give the illusion that it was real because it's very clearly in a different world. So the only reason we got found footage for it is to show it from the perspective of the civilians.
right.
So yeah, which is kind of why I always say that, again, bringing it back to the point that they could switch between different people from the world. Is the reason why they could easily do that in this particular movie is because it's supposed to be, we're supposed to be looking at from the perspective of civilians in a different universe. It's not supposed to give you the illusion that it's happening in our world. So it would be all right to switch between different people and news reports and stuff like that. Kind of like World War Z, the book itself.
Yeah.
Because isn't that like different reports from different people? And,
I
and
think
stuff
so.
like that?
I've only heard of the book. I haven't personally read it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I've seen the movie. The movie's not very good, but like
No, I'm not talking
I did see
about
that
the
video.
movie.
I saw it with my
Oh,
dad
did you?
a couple years ago. Yeah, I think it came out in like 2013.
Something like
It
that. I
did
remember,
because it came out around the same time as Man of Steel. Because I remember I saw that in theaters.
Yes. Yeah, I saw Man of Steel in theaters. I remember seeing that. DC could had the potential to be good. It's just
So I'm taking it you're
What
not a fan of
happened?
the DCEU.
not really.
Okay.
It's like, I put it this way. I got when Jared Leto's Joker was announced that there was going to be another movie, I was like, that's still going?
Yeah, I
Really?
hate his Joker so much.
But it's just so... Because the thing is, I prefer the superheroes in DC to the Marvel superheroes.
Right.
But I prefer the cinematic universe of Marvel because they've done such a fantastic job at it.
Oh, I agree.
And so, but I feel like if DC had done it and done it properly and actually taken note of how Marvel built up their world, they could have done a really good job.
Well,
Because they've got some really good villains and they have some really good iconic superheroes that Batman and Superman alone, I feel, are far more iconic worldwide than any superhero in Marvel
absolutely,
put together.
yeah. I feel like...
So yeah.
Okay, coming from somebody that loves Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Wonder Woman, and isn't crazy
Yeah.
about Suicide Squad or Justice League,
Yeah.
I think that this is what happened. Marvel took these A-list and B-list characters that some people knew, maybe didn't know all that well, and they wrote them as really likable characters. And they put them in really fun scripts that were objectively good, but did have deep emotional stuff at its core, which carried the story with the character. DC decided we want to build our universe, but in the complete opposite way, because I do think that DC has always been for the darker stories and stuff like that.
It
So-
has been.
What they did was they were like, let's take these iconic characters and A-list and B-list characters that people know and build a universe to where we deconstruct them and build towards what made them great and so iconic. Now, that works for me, and I like that idea a lot. However, it's very clear to me as soon as I say that, always, that this doesn't sound like something that everybody's going to be on board for. So it's like, whenever you have a character like Batman, and you just finished with the Christopher Nolan Batmans, and like, everybody's still amped up from that, and you take Ben Affleck's Batman, which I love. Ben Affleck's my favorite Batman that we've had on screen, but like,
Yeah.
it's like, he's a completely different character. And he's a deconstructed
Yeah.
version and like a broken version of that character. And I feel like it's fixed by the end of BVS, but I can see how somebody could just absolutely loathe these movies. So it's
Yeah.
like I do want them to make films that work for everybody and aren't so controversial.
Yeah, well, in my personal opinion, from what I've seen from other people, and obviously from my own experience, is obviously one, kind of like you said, the fact that the Batman thing is very close to Christopher Nolan's thing certainly didn't help.
Yeah.
But it from my own experience is that there just wasn't enough world building to actually get to what they wanted. They kind of quickly jumped into these are the iconic characters together.
Yeah, I would agree.
Even though we hadn't really established it quick enough, because Marvel's Civil War, and when you compare it to Batman and v Superman, they kind of are very similar in that sense, in the fact that they're both got a lot of stories overlapping from each other. But the reason why people accept Civil War a bit more is because they've had like several different movies building up to that particular movie, whereas Batman v Superman had one movie. Oh,
yeah, I never realized how gory that was until just now.
No, I
I'm
didn't.
not gonna lie, I never really noticed that.
It's a good job that kid from middle school didn't keep
I
playing.
know, right?
Yikes.
But yeah, I agree with you. I feel like they kind of, I mean, obviously I felt like they needed to rush. Well, I guess they didn't need to. But
I can understand, but
I understand.
but the thing
why.
is, yeah, well, I can, but the thing is, they have iconic characters, so they don't need to worry about like Marvel, where they had to make what was it? They could have made single standalone movies that would have gotten people's attention. Like if they just made a solo Batman movie before the Batman v Superman, that would have brought people in. If you'd have made the Wonder Woman movie before the Batman v Superman thing, that would have worked as well. Because first of all, Wonder Woman is going to be the first female superhero movie that's going to be attached to it. So that's going to bring in attention regardless.
Exactly.
So you already had Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman all ready to build up. Oh no, this is where she.
Yeah, I was about to say, have you seen this is terrible.
No.
I hate this scene. It just makes me sad. But like,
It is,
have you
it's
seen
awful.
someone put a meme on the Cloverfield subreddit, and it was her. Have you seen Avengers: Infinity War? I'm assuming that you have.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have. Yeah.
I didn't want to just say this, so spoilers if you haven't seen it. But it was the
Yeah.
meme of Marlena, and she's like, "I don't feel so good," and it was her fading away. That particular scene.
I did that with the Cloverfield paradox.
Oh yeah, I did see that one. I had no idea that was you.
JJ, I don't feel so
JJ.
good.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been interesting to see. I mean, I know how the masses probably would have reacted to Paradox if it was released in theaters, but because I feel like Netflix is a good home for it. But I wonder what my opinion would have been like if I saw it in theaters. Because it's like I feel like that's a completely different experience. So I don't know. I feel like I might have liked it less, to be honest with you, but who knows?
I think so. With kind of how it was just rather underwhelming, a lot of it. So it was. I feel like I would have come out a bit disappointed with it. I think the final ending may have got my hopes up for a little bit, but then when I start to think it over, I'd have been like, oh no, that ending just kind of. Yeah.
See, the night that it was released, the night of we'll say the big game, because I don't want to get sued.
The big game.
The night of the Super Bowl, when it was released.
Yeah.
That was an incredibly
you're getting
stressful
sued.
and exciting time for me, because I was like, oh snap, it comes out tonight. Because that day, before the Super Bowl began, I went to go see Phantom Thread with my friend, and we were talking about Cloverfield, and I was like, I'm just really excited for the new film to come out whenever that is. I'm really looking forward to it, whatever. This is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, by the way.
This moment.
This little moment between
where
and,
she's just like. Oh.
I don't know, I forgot her name, but it's just a really sweet,
Beth.
sad moment.
Is it Beth?
Beth
Or
is
that the other one?
the one that they're trying to
No,
find.
that's the one they're trying to find.
Dang it,
Oh, God.
if only I
Great.
could remember their MySpace profiles from, like, all those years ago.
All those years, yeah. Oh dear,
It's crazy they
deleted
did
all
that.
Posts.
I know that for HUD,
know.
did you know, you probably know this, but, like, HUD's height is, like, 5'8", at like in
Yeah,
like his profile, and then after the movie came out, they shortened it to like 2 foot something because he gets ripped in half by the Cloverfield monster.
yeah, I heard about that.
It's
Yeah,
like really.
it's a shame that they had to remove the posts on it because it would have been a lot easier because there's a lot of information that were actually put in their posts when they were speaking to each other that quite helped explain a bit more about the film and stuff.
Yeah.
Like even with Rob getting hired by Slusho, as that was in one of those posts, but they got removed. So it's a bit of a shame that they couldn't obviously keep him in there.
I just thought about this. Do you know the scene in Paradox when Michael, Ava's husband, which those scenes just felt kind of out of place for me anyway, but like
Yeah.
the scene where he like looks up and you see like the Cloverfield monster off in the distance doing something in like the shadows. There's 2 buildings, and I wonder if it's Beth's building. I just thought about that. I don't know.
Or you could have a look, see. I mean, JJ actually mentioned that I think there's something in the movie that people hadn't found yet. So maybe it's that. Could be.
I don't know. I know
You'd
one
have
of
to
them
check
was
it
the
back.
Slusho truck at the very beginning.
Yeah, well,
Hold on,
I don't know if it's that, but I think he even actually suggested that the game, the ARG stuff, was going to continue.
Huh.
But I think that was before the bad reception. So I think he was. I think it may have been put on hold because I haven't obviously heard any news since. And he said that something like at the start of February or something like that.
Well,
and it's now.
what are your
June?
thoughts on Colma, that script that Bad Robot has that has like Daisy Ridley attached to it? That everybody's like, it's a Cloverfield movie. Because, like, I know that the Paradox's ARG ended with, like, the Israeli, like, news articles and stuff. And then, like, supposedly, like, Colma is going to be a remake of, like, this really mysterious Israeli film from, like, a long time ago. So, I don't know, but...
I heard something about that, but I
connect.
don't think it is purely because... like I've said earlier, I don't think I've said it in the commentary, but I think JJ is just kind of reevaluating the stuff of the Cloverfield stuff. So I don't think there's an actual Cloverfield movie that's planned just yet. I think he's still thinking about what the next movie could be. Because he came out. I mean, I know people are saying that it's the sequel to the Cloverfield movie that he's doing now, but I haven't really seen anything that's confirmed that it's a direct sequel to the 2008 film. It could very well be just another film like the anthology series it is, with the quotes that he said. So to me, it feels like he said that there is going to be another Cloverfield film in the works, but it may mean that he hasn't started it yet or properly started scripting it yet. And Coma was already around during the ARG game.
Yeah, that's true.
I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think it's just a matter of, like, reevaluating what they're going to do. So I absolutely agree with that. But,
Yeah, well, like I said, I think it is just, like, all they need to do at the end is just kind of know where they're wanting to take the franchise. Because I think that's the only problem. They just... it kind of became clear with that movie that they just didn't really know where they wanted to take it. And that's all they need to establish. Once they've got that, then I think they'll be up and running. But it is just finding that which way are they wanting to take? Are they wanting to go with this multi-dimension, connect them all together? Ooh, gonna fall.
is that a washing machine?
Oh, dear.
Probably. No, wait. They're in a building. Never mind.
I think it's washing machine on top of a building. Oh,
it's
dear.
a kitchen sink. Oh, man. I was about to say something that I totally forgot what I was about to say. Again.
You'll probably remember it later on,
Yeah,
after the commentary.
Probably.
That's usually what I do. It's fantastic moments.
Oh, let's see.
Ooh.
Is it just me, or does Rob low-key look like Dan Trachtenberg?
Oh.
I feel like he does.
I can see the similarities. You should ask him if we ever get in contact with him.
I know.
Hey, do you think you look like Rob from the 2008 movie of
question,
Cloverfield?
are
Is that
you
why
Rob?
you did it?
Is your real name
I
Rob?
Oh, that's the connections. We're getting all these
Paradox
connections.
right there.
He's the Rob that exists in our world that is one of the parallel worlds of the Cloverfield world. You see. I do quite like this.
I like the light
inside.
and the smoke detector is what I think it is making that sound.
Yeah, I think that is. I mean, at first I heard that beeping sound and I thought it was coming from down my stairs. And I was like, where's that beeping coming from? Because I could just hear it faintly in the background. So I was like, oh.
Oh, man. I had the worst experience last night. I went to go see Hereditary in theaters because I wanted to see it. But I don't really do horror movies. I'll do a good thriller, but horror is kind of a different thing. But I went to go see it with my friend, and I wasn't scared, and I came home, and I fell asleep watching, like, an episode of, like, I don't know, I think it's, like, Bob's Burgers, to be honest with you. But, I fell asleep, and I woke up because there was, like, a cat screeching outside of my window last night at 2 a.m., so it made me jump, and I got super alert, and I couldn't fall asleep. And then what happened was I was in my room, and I fell back asleep and whatever, and around 4 in the morning, apparently I left my light on in my room. So my dad comes in, and he puts his arm, like, on my shoulder or whatever, and I jumped awake, because I felt the pressure, and it scared me. So I've been awake for, like, the majority of the time. So whenever we just started things up for, like, the commentary track, I'd only been awake for, like, 15 minutes.
Really?
So.
Oh, wow. Oh, dear. Did you enjoy the movie?
I did. I liked it a lot, to be honest with you. I'm not a big horror guy, like I said, but.
Yeah. Right. I quite enjoy.
I love it how they don't show it, but they have that disgusting sound.
They have the sound effect, yeah. I love how she's still alive after, like, an hour. I
know. I guess it's like, because I know that, like, if you pull something out of a wound, then you just start bleeding right away. So it's like.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is you're not supposed to pull out of anything. If you've been stabbed or anything like that, or got anything stuck in it, you're supposed to keep it intact.
Right.
And usually like the fire brigade or something come along and they saw it off from the bottom and they keep it in you for now while they take you to the hospital because it's like holding everything in place. Second you pull it out, that's it. It's like everything gushes out. So I guess they're trying to to put pressure on it.
Yeah.
But even then, I think it's still a bad mistake pulling it out.
Either way, I think that, well, I guess they couldn't have done anything else, but.
Well, no, they personally couldn't. It's the only way they could have actually got her to move along. And if they just killed her off, it would have made the entire movie pointless. So they had to keep her alive. It's like...
Oh man.
Oh dear.
Was that a slush out?
Oh, there's the Cloverfield shot. I didn't realize they had that Cloverfield shot. That's kind of cool.
Huh. The sets in this movie, just like, they don't look like sets, and that's something that I love about this film so much. Oh, Clover's gonna take on that fake
design.
news.
Oh no. Yeah, I do like it. It's kind of like
Yeah.
It's kind of the over-exaggerated look, isn't it? It's kind of that what is it? The I was going to say cartoony feel, but it's not a cartoony feel, but it's not too it doesn't look too cheap, but it also doesn't look too real at the same time. So it's kind of got that in between bit that's just got really nice. It's a really nice style to it.
Right. I think that it's like the film is obviously like color graded and stuff and like digitally added stuff in, but like it doesn't feel like there is stuff like it doesn't feel color graded. It legit feels like we're watching this dude's camera, and that's something that I really like about the film. Is that it has that natural feel to it, despite this incredibly fictional situation happening.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's probably the most like realistic, unrealistic film I've ever seen.
That's probably the best way to say it. Most realistic, unrealistic film
that's like
you've ever seen. That's kind of how I would describe it.
There's that shot that everybody uses in their thumbnails.
Yep, that's the one.
Although I personally really like this shot. I've always liked the light hitting them from the front.
Yeah. Well, I love I really love the color in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh,
That
I do too.
bluey, greeny feel. Oh, it's just great. I feel that's what captured my feel of the Clover. That's how I imagine Cloverfield. That kind of style. And I guess there's bits of that in here as well.
For sure. Where were you whenever you saw the? Do you know where you were whenever you saw the trailer for 10 Cloverfield Lane? Because like I woke up like the night before, my youth pastor and I were talking, and he's a big Cloverfield guy. And I was like, he asked me, "Do you think that we're ever going to have a Cloverfield sequel?" And I was like, "No, there's no way that we're ever going to get a sequel. The story's kind of done. But if they did do it, I'd be down to watch it." And then the next day I woke up and there was a trailer for 10 Cloverfield Lane, and it completely blew my mind. Like, I didn't want to see 13 Hours in theaters, but I went to go see 13 Hours strictly because I wanted to see the 10 Cloverfield Lane trailer. And my dad was like, "I'll just pay for your ticket to watch it," because he loves like war movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll go see it just because of 10 Cloverfield Lane. But man, that time leading up to the release of that film was probably the most fun I think I've had in like a long time, discussing films and like, amping up hype for a movie. Like I remember I had pre-ordered my tickets and everything, and I got tonsillitis. So I couldn't go on opening night after all, but I went a couple days later with my friends to go see it, and I loved it, and I still love it today.
Oh, wow. Well, I just missed the actual ARG happen for the 10 Cloverfield Lane thing, because I'd seen the trailer going around, and then I was seeing like certain videos cropping up on it, and I didn't know much about it, because I hadn't even seen the first Cloverfield movie at that point. And then I think I think it was a month after the movie had been released, I ended up finally watching the first movie, and then was kind of hooked in that area, and then started looking into the lore and stuff on that. And then I eventually got round to actually watching the second movie, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." I need to make a video on this.
This terrified me the first time I saw it. Right here, boom.
Oh, oof.
That's like the one jump scare in the film that really like got me the first time I watched it.
I loved it. Thought it was great.
It is good.
But this is that point where you start seeing images, isn't it? I forgot about this. The monsters that flash.
Yeah, there's one
on the screen
at the very beginning whenever HUD gets around the group and he attempts to show them everything.
This is the part there we see King Kong. That's the only one I remember, but I know there are others that flash around throughout the movie. But I never remember whereabouts they are.
They're all
I
at
just
the
know
end.
that particular.
It's like
part.
in the credits
Are they
saying
near the
like
end?
because I remember I saw that the first time I watched it. I was like, why does it say that the images were used? Like, I don't remember seeing that. And sure enough, people in the subreddit were like, yeah, it's in the movie. So I'm really grateful for like all of these hardcore fans that like really helped me get into it, because I really started to get into Cloverfield my junior and senior year of high school. And I didn't have anybody else to talk to because it felt like nobody else had seen the films. And sure enough, the subreddit, they were like, "Oh yeah, we love the movie and stuff." So it was really fun getting to talk to people that really loved the movie as much as I did, and really amped up the release of 10 Cloverfield Lane a lot more for me because of that reason, I think.
Yeah, well, I can definitely see that, because I remember going onto the subreddit and seeing there's a lot of people that are passionate about it as well, which is great. Yeah, I only just wish I could have found out about it sooner, but I kind of got into the whole viral marketing kind of era in around 2016. And so I think I literally just missed the 10 Cloverfield Lane when it had finished. Because I was exploring a few other stuff in that area, and then when I found obviously about the ARG attached to Cloverfield, that's when I ended up getting hooked in that area. And yeah, people around me knew what Cloverfield was, but they, again, like I've said before, they had no idea about the whole marketing behind it and the whole stuff. It's just like they just know the movie. So I just find that really strange that so many people know about it, but yet at the same time so many people don't and only remember the movie, and that's about it. Even when I made the video covering it, it's got like just past 1 million views not long ago, and I still get people commenting saying, "Oh, I love the movie, I never knew anything about this before," and that's so strange. Oh, poor
I know. I love it how this was like.
You can see his feet.
Oh,
I love that.
oh, I've never seen that.
You've never seen
I've
his
never
feet?
seen his
Oh,
feet. I
you
just thought
yeah.
he gets ripped
You
in
could
half.
when someone mentioned it, I don't know if someone mentioned it in the subreddit or somewhere else, but they said you could see his feet if you slow the frames down. And so I
Oh.
slowed the frames down before, and you can literally see both of his feet hanging out of the teeth. Because I think someone was debating that Hud was still alive, but they was like, no, he was literally ripped in two. And so, oh yeah, I was like, oh. Imagine that kid was still watching this in his middle school. It's just see the feet, a couple of blood all over
I
the
don't
place.
understand
What
how a
was this
teacher would
rated?
allow this after watching this movie again.
No,
What?
I know. I'm actually very
I
surprised he
love
got
the
as far as he
film,
did.
but, like, how on earth? I would never bring this into my class to show.
No. What was this rated?
PG-13
It must have been just like a.
in America.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably
I
about what we'd have rated it.
Is it like are ratings the same over there for you guys with movies?
No, they're different.
Okay.
Well, they probably mean the same, but they're different. Like
Okay.
I think you guys who rated it, you rate R, don't you, for like the
Like,
the more violent stuff.
yeah, R is like
Uh,
language and like sexual stuff and like violence and like really
Right.
hardcore
Well, we
stuff,
get.
though.
Yeah. Well, we get kind of like there's like a U rating, which I can't remember what the U stands for, but that basically is like your E for everyone. And then we have the PG, which is obviously parental
We have
guidance.
that,
Yeah, and then it goes into a 12, and a 12 is kind of I guess that's your PG-13, so it's like a 12. We call it a 12A, but it can people who are 12 can still under 12 can still watch it, providing that there's parents viewing it with them. And then there's a 15, and then an 18. So we just basically go by age after that. So 15's kind of they've narrowed. They don't really do 18 anymore because they've realized that really narrows their audience.
Yeah.
So they kind of go for any kind of movie now that has literally loads of blood and gore in it. They put it to 15. So it's almost to try and get people, as many people to go and watch it as they can. They mainly do try to do what Cloverfield does and have the 12 rating so they can get everyone to go see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but thankfully with Deadpool and stuff like that, they've actually done success. Oh, and It has been successful. We're actually getting more movies that are going into the R-rated section, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
Huh, cool. I didn't know that. I knew it was like kind of different because I know video games over there are like Peggy 16 and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with how they rate stuff over here for gaming, actually, because I don't really focus on the ratings that much.
I don't know.
Because but I think it's more closer to how Americans rate their games, but the movies that I know are very different, like the rating system. But games, I think are a little bit closer to how you guys rate yours. I think.
This seemed I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of feeling some stuff right now. This breaks my heart.
It's really sad.
It's
awful. I
really
didn't want them to
bittersweet
die.
because it's like he went all this way to rescue her, and she knows that. Even after their relationship was like kind of broken, he still went the way and went the extra mile just to save her, so she wouldn't. Even if they did die, she wouldn't die alone.
Yeah, exactly. She died with them.
Not.
Or did she?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm
Oh.
always afraid I'm gonna miss the thing falling from the sky, but I know that I'm gonna see it.
Do you know?
There it is.
There it is. There it is.
It's like a sin not to miss. Not to miss that.
It
Turn into
is.
Sean Connery for
To
a bit
miss.
there.
To miss it. You're going to miss
I'm
it.
gonna miss it.
Yeah, that is.
I had a really good day.
When I first heard about something falling into the sky, it took me a good few times to actually see it because I had no idea where it was. I was so confused where people were looking. They even tried pointing it out, and I was like, "Really?"
I always forget how
Ah,
short
Derek,
this movie
bye.
is.
It is, isn't
It's
it?
only like an hour
only
and 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's.
And now Matt
it
Reeves
is really
is
short.
going on to direct the Batman, so hey, that'll be cool.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. See what we can do with
I mean,
that.
he really pulled some stuff off with the Apes movies, so I don't know.
Very true.
I love those films so much. But we made it through
They are good.
Cloverfield.
We did.
did.
I don't know how,
Kentucky
but we
Fried
did it.
Clover. That's gonna be burned in my brain
Kentucky
forever
Fried.
now. And I love it so much.
I'm still hooked on the JJ world.
Oh yes, the UK run by
The
JJ
JJ
Abrams.
world. UK run by JJ Abrams, where everything is a mystery and just left on a cliffhanger.
If you
That's a world I want to create now.
I like to think that the UK, if you like look really close and squint your eyes, is actually in the shape of Bad Robot's logo.
that's what it is.
Like Bad Robot.
It's just been shaped into a bad robot. If you actually look really carefully, you can see the Cloverfield monster. It's great.
Tagarato's just a real company. TJ Miller.
Yes.
I've had run-ins with TJ Miller on Twitter before, and I don't know how I feel about, I don't really like TJ Miller, but he does a good job in this movie, but he's a person.
Oh, what kind of drama have you gone into
so
with
as
TJ
a joke,
Miller?
I tweeted him, and I was like, his bio says, like, comedian died in 2014. Okay. And I tweeted him, and I was like, as a joke, I was like, hey, at TJ Miller, your thing says that you died in 2014, but technically the Cloverfield monster ripped you in half in 2008, so I'm going to need you to clarify. And he responded with something like, TJ Miller died in 2014 after completing Yogi Bear 3D. And it was really bizarre what he said back. And I remember I put it on the subreddit, and I'm like, well, guys, I think TJ Miller just confirmed that Yogi Bear 3D is a part of the Cloververse, so let's get analyzing. And, so he's just a weird guy. Because, like, I think a couple of months ago he called in, like, a fake bomb threat, or gave, like, the police a fake lead on something. I don't know. I don't want to, like...
Did he?
I think he did, which is bizarre, because, you know, TJ Miller has no problem creating real bombs all the time.
Let me search that. TJ Miller bomb threat. I'm searching this just to clarify this. TJ Miller arrested for alleged fake bomb threat. CNN.
Yep.
Oh.
That's the one.
Charged over fake bomb threat.
I don't understand why you would do this.
Why?
I think he was, like, drunk on, like, a subway or something, so who knows.
Maybe. It could be something like that. Ah, well, he was in the Emoji Movie, so...
Yeah. Like I said, he's got no problem making real bombs.
Yeah, he's not... Oof.
Well, apparently he's supposed to be in a movie that kind of piqued my interest called Underwater. We haven't seen anything from it. But it's like, apparently he's going to be in this movie with somebody else, and he said it's, like, very Cloverfield-y, so I'm excited to see the film, because, like, it doesn't really have a release date, I don't think, so I'm excited to see it.
Alright.
Also, hats off to Michael Giacchino, who's, like, one of the best composers ever. Because, like, this is, like, such a great score, even though it's, like, at the very end of the film.
Yeah, it's very yeah,
it's
still
worth
good.
It.
All right.
It's
definitely worth it.
I listen to it every now and then whenever I write, because my friend was looking for, like, really cool, like, upbeat music. Well, I guess not upbeat, but more orchestral kind of stuff that he hadn't heard of. And I was like, well, have you heard the thing from Cloverfield? And he was really confused because he's like, I didn't think that Cloverfield had a score. And I'm like, oh, well, it has one song, but it's like, it's really good. It sounds like something straight out of, like, an old Godzilla movie, and I love it.
Yeah, I think that's why he went for it. I like that. It's very, very nice.
It's so good.
Definitely.
We made it. I guess we're gonna sit through the credits and hear the. I'm still alive. I'm still alive.
Thing is, yeah, people. Oh, I'm still alive. I'm still alive. It's TJ Miller.
Oh, no. Oh gosh.
But that explains why he tweeted at you saying he died in Yogi Bear, because he survived this one.
I like to think that there's just a giant Yogi Bear monster out there somewhere in the Cloververse, and that's what killed him.
Exactly. It probably is. I mean, there's no rules, is there? Yogi Bear could be connected to the Cloverfield universe.
I thought about doing that for April Fools, but then I was like, I don't want to put in that much effort, so instead I just made the video about how, like, John Goodman's filmography connects with the Cloververse, and every film that he's in, he's always playing Howard Stambler or some relative of Howard. So the Flintstones...
you should have done, like, you should just dedicate it to, like, a full-on hour just connecting all of his movies. I think that'd have been funny. I always think that the more time and effort you put into a joke, the funnier it is, because it's a joke, and you spent way too much time on the joke.
Well, I know for a while, like, I'm sure you've seen, like, the fake Cloverfield posters, like, of, like, other movies. Like, there was one for 3 billboards, and it was, like, 3 billboards outside Cloverfield Lane. And there's another one for like the hurricane heist, which is like the worst movie I've ever seen in a theater. And it was like the Cloverfield heist. So
the Cloverfield heist.
There's like a bunch of fake posters out there that are just so good.
It's great. I do love that. I do feel that Cloverfield will probably turn into one of those meme kind of areas.
I kind of love it, but also hate that that's what it's become. I have like a love-hate relationship with that.
That's why that's what I mean. That's why I'm kind of probably hate Cloverfield Paradox more than now, just because it had potential to go down a pretty interesting route and become pretty good, and the way it turned out and how it's turned into what it is probably why I have the love-hate relationship with the franchise, just because it's like, oh, look at what you could have done, and this is what you did. Well,
hey, at least we always have this one in 10 Cloverfield Lane, because this one
That's
is
what I
so
mean.
good.
Yeah.
I love Cloverfield so much, and it might be the best found footage film I've ever seen. Blair Witch is shaking right now, but I think that Cloverfield might have the upper hand. I love it so much.
I think in terms of it's hard to compare the two for me, at least, because the both of them are very, very different, the way they found footage, because if we're going by the found footage of what's trying to be realistic, Blair Witch did a fantastic job with the world it built around it, with the website and the documentaries, and because it did a similar thing with the Cloverfield. But Cloverfield was supposed to be a look inside from the citizen's perspective. So in a way, it's done something quite clever, because it's not trying to make you think, oh, this is happening in our world. It's actually just taken the found footage and done it in a different way to what you would normally see, because every other found footage is just trying to copy the Blair Witch. This is real, this has been found by the police, and so forth. I mean, they do this at that beginning of Cloverfield in this one, but the intention is not supposed to be, oh, this actually happened. It's because there's bombs dropping on and everything, and I think people would have probably remembered that kind of thing.
I guess I just love the fact that, like, man, I don't know. The fact that they released this in like January of 2008, because no movies come out in January that you like typically remember.
Yeah, true.
But like they chose that, and that's like legit, because like it's a film that you remember because of the hype and like even the experience of watching it for the first time. I think people.
I love the world they built around it, and I really wish they'd explore a little bit more about the Tagarato stuff. As in, like, you know, if they had a movie of Teddy Hansen infiltrating the Chua station or certain areas like that.
That could be interesting.
Stuff with government experience, you know, conspiracies around certain government people doing the bad things is just so fascinating. And when it's around Cloverfield, I think it'd be just great for something like that.
Yeah.
It's just, I really enjoyed the first movie and then the second one, and it is just a shame that it lost its feet a little bit in the third movie. Fingers crossed that they can find something for the fourth, and find a direction they want to take it.
There's the song that I was talking about earlier. Do I Have Your Attention? I've been listening to that so much recently. It's like my summer bop, but I agree. I liked Paradox. It definitely isn't perfect, but I enjoyed it, and it had this really cool
some people will
movie feel to it. I certainly didn't hate it. I liked it more. I liked it more the more I watched it, I feel like, because I was really tired the night that it came out, so I was already kind of in like a really dazed and confused mood, I guess. So it's like I'm glad that on further rewatches it's better. But I do wish that it was, like, you know, on par with, like, this and the other one. Yeah,
I kind of feel like it was, for me, it kind of went the other way. I actually quite enjoyed it the first time, but then as I watched it more, or kind of processed it more, it kind of went the opposite direction for me. The realization of certain things, because there's some good things in there that could have been great. Like the whole... the husband when he's in the middle of when he's in on Earth and Cloverfield's invaded the city. That's that was the best parts of the movie, but it shouldn't have been in that movie. It
should have been one or the other. Because like, have you read the original script for God Particle?
I have, and that's why certain areas because
like it just feels a bit choppy whenever it's like, oh, here it comes in like a minute.
Yeah.
But like,
Oh,
Dang it,
okay.
I mistimed it again. Ugh,
Yep, you did. Ah, we're actually close now. This
This
is
is
it.
it.
I'm gonna turn up my
I
volume.
have two.
It's still
There it
alive.
is.
There we go.
But yeah, I think that, the original script was just so interesting because it was like all these people could find in space. And being trapped in like a dark void and then having another ship come up and stuff like that, that's really interesting to me. And the Earth stuff is interesting too, but I feel like that should have been its own movie. Because like you have that little girl who feels kind of out of place. Like Molly, I think is her name.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. There's lots of different things that I think were just put in there in certain areas that I just feel like could have been interesting to go somewhere with them.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it, and or they were just clearly in there just to be Cloverfield kind of stuff. Oh, hiccups.
I gotcha. But I agree. But hey, at least we have Cloverfield, like I've said before, and this film is just so great, and I admire it for so many reasons.
Yeah.
And it was fun rewatching it. It had been a little while since I last saw it, but it's always cool because like you do catch new things every time you watch it. Like for me, it was the gore this time around, I guess, because like that.
Yeah, well,
that one shot of the.
Yeah, I
dude's
didn't
chest,
actually notice that. You're
that
right. Yeah,
really threw me for
I
a
didn't
loop.
realize that. I really liked the. I didn't realize that some of the there were certain shots that I didn't realize the Clover monster was actually in. I just realized by watching this back because there's a lot of moving around.
Yeah.
There's certain things you just don't always quite catch, and again with the blood of the soldier just on the ground.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But it was fun nonetheless rewatching it, and thank you for joining me on this commentary track for watching the movie again.
You are welcome.
It's been a lot of fun because, like I said, there's not many people that I know in my daily life that love the series as much and like can talk about it in depth and stuff. So it's cool to talk about the series with somebody who is super passionate about it too. So it's been a lot of fun. So thank you for hopping in Inside of Mind.
Yeah, no worries. I'm glad.
All right.
Thanks for having
me. They can find you on YouTube at Inside of Mind, right? And I guess if you want to plug your Twitter.
Inside of Mind. You could find me at Inside of Mind YT. That's because short for YouTube. Someone already had Inside of Mind, so I was like, that's disappointing.
And I'll link all of that stuff in the description of the video and stuff, or of the commentary track, so you can find it there as well. But thank you guys so much for listening. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope that you enjoyed watching Cloverfield with us and talking about other various things throughout the movie. So thank you guys so much for listening, and once again, thank you Inside of Mind for joining me. It's been a lot of fun.
No worries.
All right.
All right.
See you guys.
Thank you.